If you've ever been into gaming, you've heard of Garry's Mod. Garry's Mod is a sandbox game made by Facepunch Studios and published by Valve. A lot of the textures in the game are made from Valve games, and there's a lot of this if you don't have the textures. Okay, cool. You know what Garry's Mod is, you know that this game is awesome, and now, here's what an iceberg is. You probably know what it is since you're watching this, but here's the rundown. We've all heard the phrase, the tip of the iceberg, as it is just the top of a long and downward spiral into the end of the iceberg, which is down deep into the ocean. At the top of the surface, things that are very knowledgeable and known, and as you get deeper, are the things that aren't as known, and likely for good reason. And our iceberg, made by Reddit user The Man That Is Purple, goes in the following: ordinary, odd, creepy, abnormal, terrifying, a silhouette of a dark figure, question marks, and then nothing. So this is going to be a long road, and by the time we're finished, all the red text on screen will be in your head. I'm very fascinated by icebergs, and I hope you are too. Let's get to the first ones at the top of the iceberg. Old mods. Our first entry on the iceberg is the old mods. Assuming it's as straightforward as it says, these are some of the older mods of the game. I couldn't find any specific ones as I didn't play back then, but I found an old mod section on the mods section of the Garry's Mod website. Sentient Bots. In other words, sentient bots are the NPCs. Sentient meaning they are responsive to what the player does and pretty much have a mind of their own. Garry actually joining servers. The designer of Garry's Mod, which is obviously named after him, is Garry Gnome. He is the founder of Facepunch and proposed the idea of Garry's Mod. It has been rumored that he joins servers time to time. Hidden files. As much research as I did for a lot of these, some I could not locate. As far as what specific hidden group of files that is listed here, I don't know. There was once an old source mod called the Hidden though. The mod itself was a game mode in where someone is an invisible monster who tries to kill you and your teammates. Texture glitches. If you've ever played Garry's Mod, you're bound to have an encounter with texture glitches. Whether it's a missing texture or an actual glitch, these are pretty common. Garry's Mod History. The history of Garry's Mod is a commonly known story throughout the Valve gaming community, or gaming in general. It was originally a mod made by, guess who, Garry Gnome in 2004. 2 years later, it was expanded into a standalone game that we know and love today. It has sold over 20 million copies. Fake mods. I believe fake mods are referring to the fake category on the Garry's Mod website. Their most notable mod are the Half-Life 2 zombies. This could also be referring to the bootleg versions of the game and where you don't have to pay, commonly referred to as fake mod. Construct secret room. On the map Construct, if you went to the Half-Life logo underneath the ramp, it would lead you to a secret room. Inside the room were some couches, a doll, and a sign that credited who I believe to be the makers of the map. We're now onto the actual iceberg itself, and not the sky. This will be known as the odd section. I think I'll know a little bit on here, but I'm not too in depth with the Garry's Mod lore, so I doubt I'll know that much beforehand. Secret server. You know, I try to give the most accurate information, but I can't seem to find anything about a secret server within the game. It is a common practice though, to make a secret server for yourself and friends. Garry's Mod Beta 13 Construct. The Beta 13 version of Construct added a little more to the original map, but went unfinished. Why the Toybox was removed. The Toybox was, from what I remember, is what used to pop up when pressing Q. It was like the workshop but in-game. You can download whatever you want without going to the Steam workshop because it wasn't a thing. The Toybox was generally just easier to access. In 2013, they ended up getting rid of it to replace it with the Steam workshop. Now you have to go out of game to download your mods. The Dark Room. The Dark Room is commonly referred to that one, well, Dark Room in Construct. It's pretty creepy. Bot servers. Bot servers are usually servers that use bots to promote something so it gets on the front of the server's leaderboard. Bots are also commonly used to try to DDoS and lag out servers. Backdoors and community servers. A backdoor is a method of getting into the game and basically stealing passwords and other data. I'm not tech enough so I can't speak on the logistics of it, although the most popular servers have backdoor protection, so don't worry about your account getting hacked. 90% of the Garry's Mod community is toxic. Now this claim, I wouldn't say that 90% is toxic, but I've met a lot of good people and I've made a lot of friends on Garry's Mod, so this one is debunked. It's not true, it's a myth. The first ever version of RP Downtown. RP_Downtown is a pretty commonly known name if you've ever played Garry's Mod. It is a map that depicts, well, a downtown map. The first version must seem somewhat ominous since it's on the list, but everyone knows about it and well, I guess that's why it's there. Oh yeah, this will be the last time you'll hear about that. RP downtown. Moving on to the next one on the next layer of the iceberg, and oh no, we're underwater, but I won't let you drown because I'm that nice of a guy. Anyways, this section is called Creepy. Big City Jumpscares. The map Big City is a staple in Garry's Mod maps. There's not too much wrong with the map, just an ordinary city, but you're alone in it. No one else is there. I guess that's all source maps though, but what makes it worse is this fucking jump scare. Cough virus. The cough virus was a virus that went player to player. You see, someone would be infected with the virus. If that person were to join a server with other players, they would too have it. As far as the severity of the virus, I have no clue what happened to the players. I think it's safe to assume whoever got it must have died. In real life. Abandoned servers. Abandoned things alone in real life or in game are eerie enough, but the thought of an empty server with the intent of having players on it being empty is something startling. Who knows what happens on the servers when no one is on them. Cheaple. Cheaple is the body model used in the Half-Life 2 games. Some say this is what happened to Charple before the incident. We'll touch on that later. Gmod virus. The Gmod virus is similar to the cough virus. Whenever you would join a game, your screen would be taken over with the face of the Gmod. I'm not too sure how real this virus was, but it's weird nonetheless. The dark room of Construct. Okay, we already covered this, but during my research I couldn't find a specific dark room, so I'm assuming that both were referring to this room in general. Forgotten maps. As the name states, these maps are creepy for the same reason as the abandoned servers. What's happening on them since no one plays on them anymore? What was that map? These questions are fascinating to ask when looking back on maps that no one plays. NPC_TF2_Ghost. NPC Team Fortress 2 Ghost was, according to Reddit user Boznico663, it was just an NPC that would walk around and sit down and say, I guess you should go with Alex. So if he's right, there is no ghost and this is just some example NPC. Old Gmod videos. Old Garry's Mod videos is a weird thing to touch on. I don't know what word to use, but these old grainy videos of this video game are weird in a sense, especially the videos that are single player and have no commentary. Maybe it's the sense of isolation, but I don't know. Gmod Sightings. The Gmod is the antagonist in the Half-Life series. I'm assuming he likes to roam people's games time to time, on his own. But that's just a myth. We will now be moving to the abnormal section. Hackers getting in single-player games. It has been rumored that sometimes exploiters can get into your game. Sometimes they join and you wouldn't even know. Haunted maps. Many maps have been deemed haunted because of the likes of the owner leaving the earth or players dying while mid-game. We will talk about some of these maps later on in the category. GM Funbuild and GM Plains. These two maps are from the Reddit poster's personal experience, leaving no actual story or evidence that these maps are real and mean anything. You can only guess what he saw in there. GM Shambles Gnome Hauntings. GM Shambles is a horror map. It's said that somewhere in the map there is a well. If you are to look inside the well, you will find a gnome. Soon after, you will be killed and chased by said gnome. The creator of the map left the earth not too long ago. Whether it adds the creepiness factor or not, may he rest in peace. Flatgrass being haunted. The iconic map that is Flatgrass is sometimes said to be haunted. You see a pattern here? There's a lot of rumors on Garry's Mod, but it only leads us to wonder which are true. While no evidence, there have been threads I have read of Flatgrass morphing into a hellscape and figures being seen. Player-like entity in single player. Have you ever spawned in an NPC and thought, he is acting different? I think this a lot, and I guess I'm not alone. I doubt an NPC could be an actual player, but you never know. Footsteps being heard on single player. Ever since I was a kid, I've always thought the ambience of Garry's Mod was unsettling. Till this day, I swear to hear something or see something in the corner of my eye when playing. Maybe in single player, you aren't really alone. RP Downtown version 2 Black Figures. There have been multiple sightings of black figures and entities in Garry's Mod, but one map has it more than most. RP_Downtown_V2 has a notoriety for paranormal sightings. This is where the next one might tie in. RP Downtown version 2 owner dead. The creator of RP Downtown V2 is allegedly to have taken his life. Due to this fact or rumor, people have speculated that he haunts this map till this day. I will say now though, it's not likely, like most on this list, but it's always fun to imagine. Well, not that he took his life, but you get what I mean. RP Bangclaw, underground creature. On the map, RP_Bangclaw is to have multiple entities hiding beneath its surface. There have been a few threads that I've stumbled on to confirm this. Whether it's embedded into the game's script or an actual monster that likes to spawn in on its own is not to be answered, as of now. We now move in to one of the last pieces of the iceberg. This is the terrifying section, the doll. I believe this is referring to the doll model of Alex. You can find this doll in secret places on some Garry's Mod maps. As far as what it does, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure a lot of people have stories to tell about this. Maps changing on their own. Now I hope you aren't tired of me saying this yet, but it is rumored that some players have experienced their map changing on its own. Whether it's a glitch or a paranormal event is up for you to decide. Shadow figures. As I mentioned before, I feel like I've seen silhouettes of other players while playing on a solo map. Who knows, it could just be my vision messing with me, but I'm not the only one who thinks this. Ways to access Garry's Mod 12. Garry's Mod 12 is what I believe to be the golden age of Garry's Mod. This is around the 2010 era, a Garry's Mod without the workshop and managing add-ons manually. There are actually ways to access it in today's time, hence it being on the iceberg. Single player is scary. You either stand with the statement and live by it, or you don't have a problem with single player whatsoever. I am the first group of people that I mentioned, although my opinion changes time to time. There have been many videos on the topic of solo source games, but Garry's Mod is a step higher in eeriness. I think people find it creepy because you're used to seeing this big multiplayer map with players, but when you play solo, the empty spots where players should be aren't there. Source code leak affecting Gmod. There was once a source code leak in 2020. This affected Team Fortress 2 the most, allowing hackers to do lots of things. Garry's Mod wasn't affected though. Secret Garry's Mod Beta. There are some ways to access the beta of Garry's Mod from 2005 to 2007, from one of those years. The beta, as you would imagine, is way different from today's Garry's Mod, but you'd probably make that assumption. Weird noises on Construct. This map doesn't get a break, does it? Construct is really creepy, I guess. Many players have wrote to forums and even recorded noises on Construct. My theory is that it's just the Garry's Mod ambience soundtrack playing, but maybe it's something different. The Construct Water Abyss. I couldn't find anything about this, so I went on my own game of Construct, and well, I couldn't really find anything other than the lake. I couldn't find an abyss of water. Feel free to say something in the comments, because I couldn't find a special abyss of water. Just lake. Noises behind you on single player. This is essentially the same as the formerly mentioned footsteps behind you myth. I also have had the same first-hand experiences with this topic though. Strange messages in the console. It is a legend that sometimes the console will leave cryptic messages or act strangely. I haven't encountered anything of these sorts, but I'm sure some of you have. Once again, feel free to leave comments below because I'm always fascinated by these stories. Weird figures in the distance. Just like the first entry on this category, we have pretty much explained this one. Shadow figures are basically the same thing. The name is self-explanatory and sometimes people like to think they see figures in the distance. I'm not saying they made it up though. NPCs spawning on their own. Is the game glitched? Did someone join and put this NPC here? These are the questions you may ask if you come upon an NPC that you don't remember spawning in. I'd imagine this isn't a common occurrence, but I'm sure this has happened, as it's on the list. GM_testingdepot.bsp. This add-on used to pop up on people's Garry's Mod without them adding it on. Some people say it had the contents of child imagery on it, along with other bad things. This Reddit user ended up locating the file and well, it had nothing on it. It's not a map, it's just there. Unknown voices whispering quietly. My theory for this one is that people may mistake the Gmod ambience for strange whispering, but maybe it's not. Charple Sightings. If you've played a multiplayer map on Garry's Mod, you're bound to have seen Charple. He is usually a playable skin in most multiplayer games. There are many stories surrounding this character model. Some say he's just a dead civilian from the Half-Life games, and others speculate that this is what Charple once was, the guy we covered earlier. Accounts being hijacked. Like most games, accounts are bound to be stolen or hacked. As far as my Garry's Mod knowledge goes, there hasn't been a too notorious hacking, but accounts can be vulnerable. That's why this video is sponsored by NordVPN. Never mind. NPCs acting creepily. We've covered the base, or the grounds of NPCs acting weird, but this is pretty much the same thing. NPCs tend to act out of character sometimes, but it's just a game. I doubt there's actually a lot to most of these, conspiracies, but once again, it's fun to speculate. Classic GM videos. We covered old gameplay of Garry's Mod videos, but classic videos are the iconic videos from back in the day, hence why it's called classic. Now finally, here is the final piece to this iceberg, even though it's underwater. Here is the blank section. They probably forgot to title it, put a picture, but who cares? Cryptid Sightings. Not gonna lie, I feel like these should have been more to the top of the iceberg because now it's just creepypasta type stuff down here and instead of unknown Garry's Mod events. But anyways, cryptids are an undocumented mythological creature, and there have been many sightings of these in the game. Allegedly. Distorted NPC Voicelines. I feel like I've had encounters with this happening, but the reality is that it's just an add-on or maybe a bug, but there might be something more sinister to it. The fear of being watched or followed. Let me go out here on a limb, but maybe I feel like Garry's Mod is a little creepy. Have I said that before? Anyways, I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels a sense of being prey when playing Gmod. It's not all the time that I feel like this, but if the mood is right, I feel like someone is watching me. You probably feel this way too. Creatures in the fog. There are many sightings of these on YouTube and other places, but they seem pretty staged if you ask me. I actually think that this could happen though. I personally don't believe a lot of these on the list, but I feel like the chances of going into the train tunnel on downtown and fighting a creature in the fog, I feel like it's a pretty high percentage. That's just me. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. You just survived the Garry's Mod iceberg. Was it good? Was it bad? Tell me below. I personally thought it was a little mediocre as far as the content on there. Like, I didn't know a lot on there, but I'm sure you could assume just by the name. But will I be doing more iceberg videos? I don't know. That's up to you guys. I spent a long time, 3 days making this. All the time I had putting into this video, so hopefully you liked it. Be sure to subscribe, like, share the video, comment, and subscribe to my Patreon. That would be greatly appreciated. Go see what you can get over there if you subscribe to my Patreon, and thank you very much. Goodbye.